y'all. Hey, welcome to the PowerWomen podcast.
This is a show where powerful women share their journeys, discuss powerful issues, and the men and women who help us rise.
And we are your hosts with three very different backgrounds and very different perspectives. I'm Brandi Jo Newman.
I'm Gayatri Agnew.
And I'm your power mom, Claire Brown. Hey, y'all. Hey, we're back again with another guest of Brandi Jo's. I can't wait for us to chat with her. So, Brandi Jo, who do we have today?
We have my ride or die, Lora Lane.
Oh, I can't wait to hear all the secrets about Brandi Jo. Welcome, Lora Lane.
I got him.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
And Lora has run into friends of mine from the golf world, and it's like, what stories do you have?
Yeah, it's great. Or I get phone calls that say, "You can you call Brandi Jo and ask her if she's mad at me?" I'm like, "No, you call her."
Yeah, well, I love the fact that you've already told us that you're hiding upstairs in your house because that I resonate with that so much, especially when my children were little. I used to hide. I think every mother does. We hide in closets. I used to hide in the pantry as well to talk on the phone or do whatever I needed to do to get away from them.
100%.
You are a power mom, not just a power woman.
I like that. Yes.
She has 5 kids.
I do. I have, I gave birth to twin boys. And then I met the love of my life when the boys were 5. And he had a son who was also 5, a daughter who was 6, and a daughter who was 12. So by the time we blended everything together, I pretty much had quadruplets. And they were
quintuplets.
Yeah.
Well, the oldest
that gives Noah's Ark a run for his money.
Oh yeah. The oldest spent most of her time with her mom. We're a lot closer now. We were always friends, but she was 12 during the divorce, and so it was a little bit harder for her than it was for the little kids. And then Mike's youngest daughter lived with us permanently. My 2 boys lived with us permanently. And then his son was with us 50-50. So I really had the 4 of them all the time.
All the time.
So
it's a lot.
It is a lot.
So do we want to tell the story of how you and Mike started living together?
It's one of Mike's favorite stories. So I lived in Dallas, a suburb of Dallas, and we met through a mutual friend that used to live in Dallas with me. And then she moved to San Antonio, and her husband sold medical equipment, and my husband's a doctor. And so they kind of hooked us up, and we emailed for 6 months or so, and then went, "This is stupid. We live too far apart," and kind of ignored it. And then my girlfriend couldn't give up. So she invited me to San Antonio and me and my kids, and she lived at Lake McQueeney. So, and then of course she invited Mike and his kids too, and didn't tell either one of us. I turned around and somebody's throwing my kids around in the pool. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, by the way, this is Mike." So we did long distance for a couple years. We both decided we didn't mind being divorced, but we weren't going to get divorced twice. So he was pretty smart about the whole divorce thing. He switched the visitation around. So he had off on the mom time. So we had the same weekends off. So we would just see each other when we didn't have kids. We did that for a while. And then I started driving to San Antonio for a while. And then I would just stay with a friend, and he would come visit. And then we would all spend the night together, and I'd sleep with the girls, and the boys would sleep together. And then finally the kids looked at us and went, "Really? We're not stupid." And we're like, "Oh, okay." I finally moved to San Antonio after about 2 years of dating long distance. I got my own place, my own job, the whole deal. And he's like, "What if it doesn't work?" And I said, "Well, then it doesn't work. I mean, you do you. I have a job. I have a house. I'm good." And but then I got tired of paying pretty much a storage fee. So after about 4 years of dating, he went to work one day, and I moved all my stuff in to his house. And his neighbor called him up and said, "Mike, either Laura's moving in or you're getting robbed." So he calls me and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm moving in." I said, "It's been 4 years. You'll catch up with me eventually." And here I am. So we shared that house for about a year, and then it was crowded because it was a little 2-bedroom house, 3-bedroom house. So all the girls were in one room, the boys were in the other room, and we had 5 hooks hanging up in the big shower in the master bath because that's the only place we all fit. And he caved after a year, and we moved into a bigger house and got married. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah, he laughs and tells it with fondness now, but he was a little shocked at the time.
But it sounds like he wanted you to move to San Antonio, and then once you got there, he was like, "Okay, that's great."
You know, he will deny he wanted any of it. He tried to break up with me several times, and I just call my mom and say, "Mom, can you watch the boys? I'm headed to San Antonio." And I wasn't doing that to be needy, because I needed a man. I didn't. I knew he had a hard divorce, and that he didn't mean it. and again, you know, I know how it sounds, but honestly, you know, my friends would be like, "Lora, what are you doing? He keeps saying he doesn't want to be with you." And I was like, you know what? I'm okay. And it's okay till it's not okay. And when I feel like it's not the right thing, I'll stop. So Mike was always a few months behind me, but I knew he was going to catch up. So it was really okay.
Isn't that how they always are?
Yes.
Yes. Even Claudia.
We're all caught up now, I think.
Oh yeah. It took her a while.
Oh, that's fantastic. So how long have you been married now?
Brandi Jo and I are a lot. We take a while.
I love it.
But I'll say this. You know, in lesbian time, it was 42 days. So that's like 6 months in lesbian time.
That is fascinating. So, Lora Lane, Brandi Jo educates us on marriage here, and you don't know our other co-host who is not available today. And so, yes, I love that, and the fact that Brandi Jo's been married longer than the two of us been put together, and she educates us and trains us on our future marriages one day. But they're going to be heterosexual marriages, so we'll see.
Yes.
Well, I've been married look at me like that.
I've been married for 11 years now, and we've been together for 17. So,
okay.
If you ask Mike, he'll say something like 932 years. But
yeah.
Mike's a good guy. He's brilliant.
He is.
Nice. He is. Excellent.
Yeah. Well, we both. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you finish.
I was just going to say, you know, we both really tried to learn from our first marriages, so it wouldn't happen again. So we're pretty open and talk about things a lot more than the first time around. So
I get that at a high level. Yeah. My first marriage has kept me single for 8.5 years.
She had to write a book about it.
I did. I had to write a book about it. And not kidding. And I've only had one. Yeah, I've only had one so far that's actually read the book. And so, so anyways, but you do a lot more with kids, don't you?
I do. I was a special education teacher for 20 years. So I started out with teaching kids with hearing impairment, worked at the State School for the Deaf in Austin for a little bit, and then went back and got my master's degree with an endorsement in emotional and behavioral disorders. So when I finished up school in Austin at the State School for the Deaf, and then came back to Plano and Dallas area and did my master's at University of North Texas. So when I came back and started working in Plano, I worked with kids with emotional and behavioral problems. So, so that totally set me up for my husband and 5 kids. So that worked out well.
Did.
I have a lot of strategies working there. And then when my kids, so when the 3 boys were 14 and the girl was 15, we were either hiring a driver and a chef, or I was staying home. And it was hard for me to stay home because I didn't have my own paycheck anymore. And that was really, really hard for me. But we did it. And it took a while for us to kind of figure everything out, but we did. And then I stayed home, and my plan was to go back to teaching after they went to college. They all went to college. I was an empty net because they all went at the same time. So I was an empty nester for 3 months. COVID hit, they all came back. So that didn't last long.
Word.
Right. But
that is a
they finally all went
nightmare.
away. You know what? When they came back for COVID, it was kind of fun. They were fun. They had been on their own for a couple months. And so they came in and the gym actually that Claudia works at, we called up Claudia and we're like, Claudia, we need a gym. And so she helped us talk with Josh, and Josh brought over a whole bunch of gym equipment and they threw it in my office, and everyone worked out at home. And it was cute. It was fun. We played poker every night. Mike taught them all how to play poker. So, educational things.
So how did you and Brandi, educational, for sure. Yeah. Gym and poker. So how did you and Brandi Jo meet?
We have a mutual friend, Lisa Minnick, who is also a huge PowerWoman, I believe. And she was planning a 60th birthday party for her husband. And her husband and my husband are doctors together. And everybody's big golfers. So we went to, where was it?
Scottsdale?
No, Scottsdale. We went to Scottsdale for this birthday party, and there was rounds of golf. And so Mike asked me when our kids were like juniors or seniors to learn how to play golf, because when they left, he wanted to go on golf vacation. So I was like, okay, I'll learn. And I learned, and I like to play, but I'm not ever going to practice ever. It's just not that important to me. I go and I have fun. So when we go to this birthday party, he's like, are you going to want to golf? And I was like, yeah, I want to golf. So they were nice and paired me up with the two girls, Brandi Jo and Claudia. Okay, but then they said, I was like, oh, okay, good. I'm good. And then they went, oh, by the way, Brandi Jo's a pro. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, she's better than the men.
I was like, every club I have goes 100 yards between the driver and the putter. How am I going to play with the pro? And they're like, trust me, it'll be fine. You'll love them.
They said Brandi Jo's fun and Claudia's awesome.
Yes. So
that's right.
You go, Brandi Jo. Go from there. I like your version of the rest of this story.
Well, and we had heard of each other. Barry, Barry, the husband, would say, you need to meet Lora Lane. You need to meet Mike. Y'all would really get along. And it was years. Yeah. And we ended up in Scottsdale, and I had a Suburban and somebody else had a Suburban. And so we all go to the golf course together. And the first thing I say is, we need to stop at the grocery store and we need to get some vodka and some Fireball. And so Laura's just like, these are my people.
Yes, 100%.
And Claudia's like, really? And I said, yes, this is a fun weekend of golf. So we go, and then my friend Ira, who lives in Scottsdale, he joins us. And we get out there and we start talking about, what you do with the Fireball, which is birdie juice. And I don't know, it was probably 3 or 4 holes in, and somebody made a birdie, and we go to down our Fireball. And there's a video of us on Instagram where Ira and Laura and myself are just, we empty this little bottle of Fireball in our mouths, and Claudia's in the background going,
sipping it.
And then she just goes on her way. And that was our first experience with the Lora Lane show and the Brandi Jo show.
Yeah. And it was quite
And then after that, I mean, it was just great. And then we soon realized that we're all of the same ideology. And then and then there was like, so for this party, there was an after party months later for that party for us all to get back together at Barry and Lisa's house, and we reconnected again. And it was a late night in the middle of the summer that next year. And she calls me and she says, will you be on the Alamo Heights Republican Women Board with me? And my first response is, hell no. Because you don't want me on a board of anything, because I will come in and I will do it right, and then I will piss people off.
Which is exactly why I wanted her. Because I was doing... But that's the thing, because I was in there, and the people that I was working with were in it to enjoy their time and drink wine and talk politics, which is fine. But that wasn't my goal.
There's a place for that.
I was going to say, that's not part of a board.
Right.
That's after the board meeting.
Exactly.
Right. So I wanted to make a difference, and I knew that, and I was able to, raise the membership quite a bit by myself and get some good speakers in there and everything. But I needed the Brandi Jo show to take it up one more level. And at first they loved our team. I mean, Brandi Jo and Lora show were great. We had over 100 members. We were doing fabulous things. And then we sort of, I think, stole the attention from them basically. And they didn't like that. So
yeah, that didn't go. That doesn't ever go over well.
Also, the membership got a little. The membership had all the colors of the rainbow.
Yeah,
and I was told that we don't want a certain type of person as a member.
Oh,
yeah, that really pissed me off.
Yeah, that
and then,
well.
Just the integrity and the principle of it all, and then that. Didn't kind of cratered. I cratered it personally. Lora had nothing to do with it, but Lora still gets blamed for it. And our other friend Randall gets blamed for it. And we didn't even know Randall at the time. But she was friends. She was friends with the other people in the same friend group with them, but had nothing to do with their politics. And then what's funny is that Lora likes to plan and I like to do. And then we plan and do, and we plan and do. And we had 2 events that were planned for the end of 22, Judges Jubilee and Republican Roundtable. Well, I'd be damned if that other club was going to do it. So we just wrangled and ran with it. And we started a PAC, Redline Conservatives. And here we are 2 years later, still going strong.
Yeah. So what I heard in
There's
all
a
of
lot
that.
to unpack there.
I know. I'm just sitting here ready to go.
Well, and the thing about it is that, and the reason, I don't think you and I have had this conversation, Claire, but you've got to have a ride or die. You've got to have somebody that's going to get in the truck and say, let's go.
Yep.
Or whose car are we taking? And,
we ride at dawn.
Do I need
let's
to bring
burn the bras? Let's go.
Do I need to bring a shovel? Something like that.
Yeah. And not ask questions.
Exactly.
Right.
You have to have
and just
that
say,
in your.
Yeah. Do you want dirt or lime? Yeah. That's it.
And that's pretty good.
We haven't done that quite yet.
Yeah, but that was part of the problem. Yeah, that was part of the problem with the group too, because once they figured out what happened and that I wasn't really a part of the demolishing of the club, but I didn't back down from Brandi Jo. I was like, she's doing what she believes is the right thing to do. I agree with her, and I'm not going to stop being her friend because it's something you don't agree with. And they dropped me like a hot potato. So it tells me I made the right choice. So
yeah,
thank you, Lora.
It's all about values and integrity. And some of us have it and some of us don't. It's like my daddy says, Claire, everybody's got class. Some is just all low.
That's pretty good too.
That's good, Claire. That needs to be on the back of the business card.
Yeah, everybody's got class. Some is just all low. And it's real true. It's just, you can use that too. So everybody's got taste. Oh, yeah. Some is just all bad.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, and that's what that is.
The thing about, me wanting to bring PowerWomen to San Antonio was, well, let me kind of sidebar here. Lora and I have a friend in common, and she knows exactly who I'm talking about. I had a conversation with her that we need to teach women how to be badasses. And she was totally against it. She's like, no, some people just can't be it. They need to be born with it. And I said, I think you can teach it. Yeah. I think you can inspire. I think you can motivate, and you can set examples.
I kind of feel like that she's sort of right in that you just have it or you don't. But I think all of us have it. It just has to be cultivated, and it's in there.
That's exactly right. Yep.
So, and that's the hard part, because Brandi Jo cracks me up all the time. She's like, "No negative talk, Lora." So I've been working on that, and but she's right. The more positive you are, and the more you feel it and do it, it works.
Yeah, it's reframing.
Some people are just so scared to fail, I think, because they've been taught that failure is a bad thing. And I just didn't grow up in that world.
No, failure is the best teacher ever. And, you know, I do agree. We are all born with leadership. And some of it is promoted in more of us than others. I'll never forget, I was at a friend's house who's now a close friend when I first joined the church I'm in now. And their daughter is one of the sassiest children I had ever met. And literally, I walked in the door and the child started bossing me. And I was like, wow, this is something. And I even made a comment about, she's really something. You know, just like, boy, that baby's a baby instead of something, you know. You just don't know what to say. And she was like, you know, we had parent-teacher conference this week, and her teacher told us that she needed to be toned down and everything. And our response was, no, she has leadership, and you need to foster it. And I thought, whoa. If that had been the response to every one of my teachers, maybe I would have gotten scholarships. Right. You know? I mean, because that's it. It's the strong will in our girls that is not fostered. And we've been told we're bossy and not bosses. And we've been told we're too much, or she's a lot, or all of these adjectives or phrases that really do need to be reframed as, no, she is a badass. She is a leader, and you need to listen to her. She's not a bitch.
But we're still a lot.
You know what? She's a lot of what you need is what she is.
Exactly.
She's a lot of what you need. And that's the thing. And we have taken all these phrases and nuances and adjectives that have described women for so long. And now we're really, you know, finally looking at them of, oh, that's what that is. And that's who she is. And let's admire it, and let's leverage that so that her gifts can shine where they need.
Okay. So I think sometimes, though, women are uncomfortable being that loud and upfront, but it doesn't make them any less powerful. They just present their power in a different way. You know, I know that sometimes when I'm with different people, I act different ways, and it's not because I'm a follower and not a leader. It's more of, it's what works in that moment and what's making the situation or the environment better. And so I kind of feel like, you know, being loud and upfront is sometimes a personality trait. It's like Brandi Jo and I that's why we work so well together, is because she's a lot more upfront and loud than I am, which my family would never believe that because I was always the loudmouth in my house. But so she takes up stage, and I kind of work more behind the scenes. And I think that both positions are just as powerful, and it's even more powerful because we can work them together.
That's exactly right. I totally agree. You know, and I believe that a woman is most powerful in her softness and her femininity.
And I don't have that.
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
I know I do.
Yes.
But the whole point of that is certain men take me at one perspective, and then other men take me, what I'm going to say, a better perspective. And then certain women take me a certain way, and then certain other women take me a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's human nature too.
Right. But I will say this, when we are so known in our political circles, I think that's why we make a good team, because there's some people that say, oh, you got to talk to Lora about that. And then there's other people that say, no, just call Brandi Jo if you want an answer. So that's the thing.
They're going to get it from you right away. If they want something slow rolled or softened, they'll come to me. Or if they want to know what Brandi Jo is thinking, or why did Brandi Jo do this, they'll come ask me. Because if they ask Brandi Jo, they're going to get a straight answer, and then she's done talking about it.
Yeah. And it's,
I'll do the massaging.
Right. And I'll get these texts like, are you mad at me? And it's like, no, you would know if I was mad at you.
Right.
Yeah.
And it would be, you would know. I don't have a problem telling people exactly what they fucked up at.
Brandi Jo, I don't know if I've told you this before, but it's funny because the roles are exactly reversed. when I'm with my sister. My sister is 4 years younger than me. And when my dad passed away, he had a couple of houses and then the house he lived in. And so my sister and I started a real estate business and then we bought some houses and flipped some houses and everything. And she was I'm going to decorate. I'm going to make this look pretty. I'm going to order this. I'm going to do that. And I was you didn't pay your rent, pay it now. Because my sister would have let someone live there for 6 months for free before she'd pick up the phone and call them. So I was the Brandi Jo in that scenario. So that's kind of what I mean. You gotta flex your leadership skills in the way that is needed.
Yeah. But I mean, just, and I know you don't know me very well yet, Lora Lane, until I come stay the night with you. But, yeah. But I will say that there are times where it's a dance. I can be very loud. I can be very in your face, but I can also be very soft and very Southern. And, that doesn't mean I'm not going to say fuck you with a smile. And
exactly. Bless your heart.
Good. Yeah, bless your heart, darling. But I don't even have to say bless your heart. I'll just say it. And it's okay. And so, it still gets everything across. And it's how it needs to be. I mean, every woman's got her own way, her own niche, and it is her own dance. And I think that, when she chooses to embrace her own power is key. But we're all different. And I think that, like we've said, that, there's so many different adjectives and phrases that we've, used for too long that we're finally allowing women to just own and be.
Can I ask y'all a question? I mean, so my marriage, my life, my career, 14 careers that I've had, I always knew what I wanted to do and I knew who I wanted to be because I'm Donna Jo's daughter. This is something Melissa and I came up with yesterday, identifying a certain niche within PowerWomen. And it just kind of came in a sentence, in a statement. And I wrote down in my notes, they gave up on themselves before they knew who they were. So talking about getting married too early, having kids too early, and that they don't even put their dreams on hold. They just stop dreaming when they get married to the wrong person.
Right.
Did y'all have experience with that?
Oh, yeah.
Mine was sort of different. I kind of experienced that growing up. And I used to cry every single day before I went to school because in my heart of hearts, I knew I was the ugliest person in the school and that nobody liked me and it was going to be horrible and nobody could tell me different. And
That's
I was
so
raised,
sad.
It was, and I was raised by a beautiful mom and my dad was an alcoholic, but I didn't know it at the time. So, I heard I love you a million times a day. And it wasn't until later when I was an adult that I could express myself and let myself be who I wanted to be. And I can't even tell you the turning point of that. I guess maybe I think I finally just got sick of being sad and sick of being, just there and wanted to do something more. Maybe it was my kids, because you have to be strong for them.
Yeah.
And so that brought it out.
Yeah.
But it wasn't so much in my marriage. My first marriage, I actually left. Well, he left me because he found a girlfriend. But honestly, he found a girlfriend because I was giving him no attention. I was done with him. Excuse me, sorry about that. But he didn't turn out to be near as successful as I wanted him to be. And not that I wanted him to be the president of the United States, but I wanted him to do something. I mean, I paid for his chef school. So he would go do that instead of just sitting around and fishing all day. And that finally was enough. So,
yeah.
Yeah. I got married at 20 and couldn't drink at my wedding.
Yeah.
What made you get
married so early?
Oh, I was running away from family.
Yeah.
And then, so I thought that was love, and neither were love. Neither of them were. And then when he left, when I was 34, I still didn't know what I was doing. I mean, and I started selling real estate.
You wanted to stay married, right, Claire?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. And I was still I started selling real estate in college to pay for school. That was not what I wanted to do. I had scholarships to New York, Chicago for theater. I was going to be on Broadway. That's what I wanted to do. And I wasn't allowed to go, couldn't do it, and didn't have the confidence at the time to just leave home.
And that's still a dream of yours.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to be on Saturday Night Live.
I think you can do it.
Oh, I know I
think you can do it.
I think you can do it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I did stand up last year.
Oh, God, that's awesome.
Oh, yeah. I talked about pussy aerobics.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Fabulous.
There we go.
Yeah. And so, and then PowerWomen took off, and I wrote a book, and this podcast came out, and I mean, it literally just leaned in hard to just who I am and running my mouth and the gifts that God gives me. And that's it.
You know, you saying that leaning in, Laura's on a lean in journey right now. She is campaigning for herself to be national delegate at the national convention. And it's, I can tell with our conversations, it's
taking
like
all my coins.
Yeah. She's a big believer in the coin system. That, you know, she's going to have to put herself out there. She's going to have to let people know exactly who she is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's an exercise.
It is.
And I don't have a problem talking to people and in front of people. That's easy. But it's talking about myself in front of people. And like when Brandi Jo asked me to do this podcast, and I just laughed, and she goes, "Why are you laughing?" I was like,
"Why do you think it took us so long to get it scheduled?"
But that's so untrue.
A powerful woman.
Yeah, and you told me that also, and that's why I was trying to dig in a little bit more, because don't you do a lot with other kids?
Yeah. I do. I'm a CASA advocate, and I am on the board of the Through Project, which helps kids after they leave the foster care program and help them get started in life. And I do. And I guess for me, it didn't seem like that was a power thing. That was a natural progression for me in my life. I still,
because you still
I'm blessed, and I want to give it back.
Because even talking about it right then, you just glazed right over it.
Yeah. And then look at her body language.
Body language.
I don't know that you recognize that, because
I did not.
No, because I don't know that you recognize how important it is, the work you do. Because frankly, I mean, I don't know. And just what I've heard from, you growing up and your life and your journey, but have you experienced abandonment?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
I went to therapy and we went down that road, and I was like, no, I mean, it's like I said, my mom is still my best friend and my sister. Yeah. It's not, I mean, so, we had a close family.
Hello. Let me explain. I'm a single mother of two. I have no support. I've had everybody I've welcomed into my world that I've said, I love you to leave me. So you being there for people who've never had anyone, and then saying, I am here for you and I'm going to carry you. And then I'm going to not only do that when you age out of whatever system we've created, I'm then going to carry you further when no one is obligated. People don't do that. People don't do that for those that have been abandoned. Do you hear that? Do you know that? And then do you know what that does for those who've been abandoned? It gives them the knowledge and the hope of what love is, because they've never had it.
No,
they don't know how to feel it. And then you give them the opportunity not to feel it, but then to give it back.
Well, I sound pretty cool now.
You can't glaze over that.
Yep.
You can't glaze over that.
You got to own it.
You got to own the fact of, I give people hope. I let them know what love feels like, so that then they can give it back to the world again.
That should be in your letter, Laura.
Yes. I'm going to put that in my letter.
Yep.
It's powerful shit. Because here's the thing. We've all got gifts. And we've all got love to give. And if we don't lean into those and give them, the world won't change.
That is true. And it's hard to lean in and give if you don't accept that you're doing it. So
that's exactly right. And if we glaze over the shit we do every day, then nothing is impactful.
Right. And I think also people have a hard time, like, you know, that was a little difficult for Laura. I could feel that.
Good.
Right.
Good. I'm glad you got uncomfortable.
That's the thing, is that so many people are not okay with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And you have to get to a point where you know it's going to be uncomfortable, and having it be okay that it's uncomfortable, and freaking out and doing all the things. I think the message for Laura's national delegate campaign is to show all of these 417 people, 470 people in Congressional District 21, that you can be conservative, you can be loving, you can be all that, you can be powerful, and you can be accepting, and you can be back to the whole conservative thing.
I will say, though, because I know we're running out of time, and I want to make sure I tell you two ladies this, that I'm glad you're doing this, because it is hard for people like me, or, you know, to kind of accept those things. I always go on these meetings and things with my husband, and, you know, they go around the room and introduce each other. And, you know, my husband will stand up and say, yes, well, you know, I scan the baby heart and then create a 3D model and give it to the surgeon, and the surgeon will go, and then I go in there and put in all the things. And then they get to me and I'm like, emptied the dishwasher twice today.
Yeah.
And because that's, you know, you get around that and you're just like, oh, wow. So when you say a powerful woman, you know, you're, this is what I hear. And it's not that my husband or anyone tries to make me feel bad. It's just, they're doing so many things that are so big that it's, you know, it's hard to but it's hard to feel that, you know.
Even you're emptying the dishwasher is big.
Because he can't do it. He can't do what he does without you. Let me tell you.
That's true. And he is good about telling me that.
A power man will not reach his highest potential without the support of a powerful woman.
I agree with that.
It will not happen. Quit minimizing yourself.
Okay, Brandi.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
Claire.
And thank you so much for being here, Lora Lane. Thank you for letting us unpack you and your life and your journey and all the secrets. And next time
I didn't know this was going to turn into a therapy session, but this is good.
I guess so, yeah. But it's good. So, you know, I thank you.
Coaching session, I should say.
Yeah.
And it's always good to have another new friend. So
yes, I am so excited to see you next month. So
I know,
thank you so much. Truly, thank you so much for your time and sharing. So many can benefit, and all the work you're doing. I really appreciate it.
I hope so. All right. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much for listening. If you like the show, please rate and review on iTunes, and check out our website, thepowerwomen.org.